Just watch the chords in your step when you come up. Remain standing.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or sincerely affirm that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God, or upon penalty of perjury.
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Then I just need you to state your name, slowly spelling your last name for the record and the town in which you live.
Starting with my last name?
No, just state your name and spell your last name for
Okay.
the record.
Alexander E. Jones, Jones.
And your town.
Oh, Austin, Texas.
So there's wording on the picture.
Oh, great, thank you.
If you want to bother or
Thank you.
just let Mr. Jones get situated.
Hold on.
Thanks.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Jones, you're here pursuant to a subpoena today, is that correct?
Yes.
You were deposed in Connecticut earlier this year, and at that time, I arranged to have a subpoena served on you to assure that you would appear at this trial, correct?
I believe so.
And you could have come to this courtroom at any time since we've started if you wanted to, correct?
Yes.
Right. In fact, you know where the courthouse is because you've given press conferences right outside this courthouse yesterday and the day before, correct?
Yes.
But this is the first time you've been in the courtroom, yes?
Yes.
This is the first time you've been under oath in this
Yes.
case, right? And you understand that the families that I represent brought this case against you about 4 years ago
Yes.
to seek justice from this jury for what you did to them, correct? You understand that's why we're here?
I understand they sued me, yes.
Right. And this is an important case. You understand that?
I mean, that's an opinion.
Okay. You don't think this is an important case? That's a yes or no, sir.
It's not, I don't really think it is a case. I don't think it is a case.
Okay. We're going to there's going to be a lot of this today. And
Objection, Judge.
All right, so let's iron out the wrinkles now. If you can answer the question with a yes or no, Mr. Jones, answer it with a yes or no. If you don't know the answer, you can say you don't know the answer. And of course, if there's an objection, you'll just wait for me to rule on the objection.
this is an important case, isn't it, Mr. Jones?
I think this is historic.
Okay. Mr. Jones, the judge just gave you an instruction
Objection.
to answer the question yes or
Objection,
no.
return to court.
So I'll
Should we do it again?
do this. So the question, Mr. Jones, is it an important case? And the answers that you can give are yes, no, or I don't know.
Yes.
You can understand why it would be very important to the families I represent, correct?
Yes.
But it's also important to you, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you've been using this case as a marketing opportunity over the past couple of weeks, haven't you?
No.
Mr. Jones, you created a new website on InfoWars.com called Kangaroo Court, just so your followers can watch this case, haven't you?
That's not a website.
What would you call a web page on InfoWars.com?
It's a page.
Okay, page. Thank you for that correction. There's a web page on InfoWars.com that you've titled Kangaroo Court, so that your followers can watch what's happening here, right?
Yes, that's my opinion.
Okay. And why don't we pull up, actually, Exhibit 504. This is, just for the witness, please. Exhibit 504, there's a screen down there for you, Mr. Jones. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, is that the Kangaroo Court page that you've had up and running?
Yes.
Okay, I'd offer it, Your Honor.
No objection.
All right.
And you see here, you've been clipping testimony that's been happening in this courtroom over the last couple of weeks, haven't you?
I have not been clipping, no.
You don't do that yourself. You have your employees do that.
I'm not even directing it.
Oh, okay, so you didn't know that this was happening?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
No, I've not been there, and I don't direct most of the headlines.
They just know that this is what you want, right?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
I'm not supposed to talk about the prior rulings.
Excuse me, sir.
So how do I answer why I think something's a kangaroo court if I'm not supposed to say why I think it is?
The question that I just asked you, sir, was whether you knew that your employees wanted to do this, whether they knew that you wanted them to do
Renew
this.
my objection on speculation.
And it's the same rule, and do you understand that question, sir, or do you want it played back or repeated? Because I want to make sure you're answering the question that's asked.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they agree with me. That's why they put that headline up.
And right above there, as you're saying, watch highlights from the Alex Jones Sandy Hook kangaroo court hearings, you're running an ad for Brain Force Plus, right?
Yes.
Orders a day, right? This is what you're showing your audience. The next generation of advanced neural activation and nootropics. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And how much is that going for on InfoWarsStore.com right now with the sale?
I don't know.
And ever since this trial started, and you've been calling it a kangaroo court yourself, right?
Yes.
Right. And you've called this judge a tyrant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you actually use that word a lot with your audience. You call people tyrants, don't you?
Only when they act like it.
Okay. And one way that you've been conveying to your audience that Judge Bellis has been acting like a tyrant is by showing her with lasers coming out of her eyes, right? You know you did that?
I didn't direct that. First time I saw it was in court.
Oh, so you've been watching this?
Yeah, I've been watching.
Okay. You could have just watched from this tape.
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
But you've been broadcasting your show during this trial, haven't you?
I have taped some of my show.
Let's pull up 477.
Is this full?
This should be in already.
It is a full exhibit.
And what was it, Ron, 477?
477, Your Honor.
This is the tyrant you've been telling your audience about, right? Yep.
I'm barred from saying why I said it, so
I didn't
can't-
ask you why.
Oh,
This is the tyrant you've been telling your audience about, right?
I believe.
Sir?
So, Mr. Jones,
Yes.
look at me. It's yes, no, or I don't know.
I don't know
The answer is you don't know.
about that. I didn't make
No,
that.
no. This is the tyrant pictured here that you've been telling your audience about, right?
I thought you were asking me again about the image or about me believing this is tyrannical. Can you restate the question, please?
Sure. I'll restate it for the third time for you.
Objection to the comments, move to strike.
This is,
And we have one motion. Okay, thank you.
this picture right here, that's Judge Bellis, correct?
Yes.
Lasers coming out of her eyes, correct?
Yes.
That's who you've been referring to as a tyrant to your audience, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you refer to tyrants to your audience a lot, right?
Some.
Right. Tyrants are people who are going to oppress others and strip them of their freedoms, correct?
That's a common definition.
Right. And you've not just called Judge Bellis a tyrant, but you said that this whole thing, what's happening here, is part of a plot, isn't it?
Objection, motion eliminate.
No, not the whole thing. I think the jury's
Motion
real.
eliminate.
So, just, can I have that question again?
Yeah, I think what I asked
Don't
Judge,
answer it, go ahead.
Understand.
Thank you.
what you've been telling your audience is that this whole thing is part of a plot, I believe is what I asked.
Objection, motion eliminate. Politics.
That's a yes or no.
It's a yes, no, or I don't know, sir.
I
So-
thought there was withdrawn. May we approach briefly?
Yes, sir.
He's going to talk about if this goes on, he'll read this, that, and everything else. And I thought that politics, was out of it. He thinks this is a plot orchestrated by. Excuse me. I don't mean that. He thinks this trial reflects the effort of tyrants to silence him, including George Soros, Hillary Clinton, and others. And by asking this question, the door is being opened. I said it's part of the plot. Yeah, that opens the door.
And it hasn't just been, could we pull that back up?
I didn't hear the question.
I haven't asked one yet. It hasn't just been this way that you've been depicting the tyrant. Let me show you Exhibit 477. Is this 477? One moment. You also have displayed Judge Bellis engulfed in flames, haven't you, to your audience?
No, one of my crew made that. They make thousands of images.
Thousands of images.
Just
sir.
1 second. Is this a full exhibit?
No, it's not, Your Honor.
Pull it down, pull it down, pull it down. I'd offer it. You
No
just-
objection, Judge, I forgot the number.
461.
469?
1.
Thank you.
Do we have a bench copy?
Not at the moment, Your Honor. And that's Judge Bellis on the right there, isn't it?
Yes.
Engulfed in flames. And
And that's it.
I didn't ask you the other person.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, that's another judge, right?
Objection, motion in limine.
That's not what I was going to say.
Objection, motion in
That's
limine.
another
There's no
producer's
question.
report. That's
So, Mr. Jones, because your attorney stood up and objected, so remember when there's an.
I'll withdraw it. I'll withdraw it.
Okay.
But you
Just-
see-
Yeah, another
just
person
one
made this
second,
report.
Just remember that when there's an objection, just,
Be quiet.
yeah, that's what you're doing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Another, one of your employees made that, right? Greg Reese?
Yes, it's another producer, an independent producer. His report that was made that we later featured on the site. I first learned about it in the last court case. But yes, I think it's showing that Lady Liberty's being burned up by due process being erased.
And Mr. Jones, Greg Reese, are you saying he's not an employee of yours?
I believe he's a contractor now.
Okay, you pay him, yes?
Yes,
Okay, you pay him to create these video segments, right?
I mean,
Greg Reese reports,
he independently makes what he wants.
and you pay him for it.
Yes,
All right, and you paid him, you can take that down, you paid him to create a little mini documentary about Bill Aldenberg just this past week, didn't you?
I don't know who Bill Aldenberg is. Oh, he's the FBI guy, I remember now.
Yeah, so you paid him to make a little mini documentary featuring Bill Aldenberg, didn't you?
I think I saw a thumbnail for it. I don't believe I've watched it.
Mr. Jones, you aired it on your show, haven't you?
I have a fill-in crew. I've been here.
No, Mr. Jones. This was last week. You were in Austin last
Well,
week.
I don't watch the breaks, so
Okay, so what happens is when you're on your show, you go to break and they just show some video, and you have no knowledge of it. Is that what you're saying?
I watch a lot of it, but no, I go eat food. I go to the bathroom. I hadn't seen. I remember now seeing an article about it or something about it.
Take a look at Exhibit 513, Mr. Jones. Just pull it for Mr. Jones.
Five
ID
one
at this
three.
point, sir.
513.
ID at this point, sir.
Yes. You have it? You have it, Mr. Jones, right in front of you?
Oh, it's-
That's it, right? That's a still shot from Greg Reese reports
Yes,
featuring Bill Aldenberg.
I haven't. I don't remember this report, but I remember this fella. Don't know who he is. Never said his name till I saw him up here talking about me. And then I have seen this report posted. I haven't watched it.
Mr. Jones, you don't know if you ever say his name.
I'm sorry.
I've never said his name till
I
now.
know that.
Oh, okay. Show us.
Let's pull up Exhibit 50 before we get to that.
I mean, you mean recently?
There's no question, sir.
Wait for the question.
Yeah.
Exhibit 50, is that fuller?
It should be.
That is a full exhibit, Your Honor.
Thank you.
It is.
Mr. Jones, this has been introduced as a chart of all of the days for which you didn't produce any videos to us in which you talked about Sandy Hook. So let's start with April 8th, 2013. Did you say Bill Aldenberg's name on that day?
I don't believe so. I don't remember him. I don't believe so.
You don't know, do you?
I think I've said like two people's names.
You don't know whether you said Bill Aldenberg's name, do you?
From my memory, I never seen him before till he sued me.
So
And he said he never heard of me.
Again.
I'm sorry until
I'm
then.
going to ask my question again. Why don't we just scroll through this
Okay.
as we do? Is it your sworn testimony to this jury that you never said Bill Aldenberg's name on any of these days here? Do you know that?
I got a pretty good memory, and the first I heard of him from my memory was when he sued me. I mean, but this was over 10 years. I mean, that's my recollection. I have Never heard about him. I'm like, who's this FBI guy added to the list?
So
Yeah.
let's just make it clear then. You said 10 years ago. We got October 4th, 2021. So I just want to know.
Oh, I may have talked about him recently.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
Because you're here under oath. This is our chance.
Objection, Judge.
So I want-
Strike the commentary.
I want to know whether you can tell this jury under oath that you never said Bill Aldenburg's name. Yes or no?
Not until recently. I don't believe I ever said his name.
Yes or no?
Objection, he has
I
answered.
mean, I think I just said his name. I think I've said his name recently. I can't remember.
Okay. What about before? Can you tell this jury?
I don't believe I ever did.
So you don't know, do you?
If you've got me saying it, please show me. Refresh
Well,
my
I'm
memory.
asking you.
No, it was news to me when he sued me. I didn't know who he
All right,
was.
Mr. Jones. Well, let's pull up 513. I'd offer it. I don't know if it's been formally admitted yet. This is the Greg Reese reports. I'd offer it.
I don't know whether the writings are going to run afoul. May I be speaking to Attorney Manning?
Absolutely.
Do you have it?
I need to review the writings in lieu of the court's prior rulings, Judge.
Give me a moment.
Take your time.
Can we scroll down on it, please? Is there more than what's displayed on the screen?
Can you scroll down for Attorney Pettis?
That's it.
If that's it, if all is on the screen, no objection. If there's no text accompanying it.
We'll offer it.
All right, full exhibit.
So this is your webpage, band.video, right?
Yes.
You ran this video last week. You see your Alex Jones Kangaroo Court. Watch day one, right?
My crew posted this.
Yeah. Mr. Jones, you own 100% of
Yes.
Future Systems, right? Okay, you're in charge, right?
I mean, yes. I'm just asking if I posted it. I didn't post it physically. I didn't make it.
Let's pull out of that. And the title of the video is FBI sues Alex Jones to destroy First Amendment. That's the title, right?
Yes.
Okay. You know the FBI hasn't sued you. You know that, right?
I mean, I think that's a point of view.
Excuse
I
me.
actually agree with that.
Mr. Jones. Oh, you agree. The FBI is a plaintiff in this case that sued you here. That's what you want to tell this jury?
I mean, he's an FBI agent and he's up here in his capacity. And when he got asked,
Excuse me, Mr. Jones. I asked you whether it's your testimony that the FBI is the plaintiff in this case. Is that your testimony?
I mean, I think this is a deep state situation. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jones, you understand what I'm asking.
Objection, move to strike the commentary in
All right,
bedroom.
so how about if we just get an answer to the question?
Uh,
No, Mr. Jones, look over here. The question is the FBI a plaintiff in this case? Yes, no, or I don't know?
I mean, I don't think officially they are.
But this is what you tell your audience here, right? Did you see any Bill Aldenburg's testimony?
Objection,
I did.
compound.
You did.
This is what you tell your audience. Did you see the testimony?
Sustained, so can we break the question down?
But that's what you told your audience.
Which one, Judge?
That the FBI had sued you, right?
No, that's the headline that another person made. But
And this video right here, I don't know if you can see it, just as of September 15th, had 190,000 views, didn't it?
yes,
And you said you watched Mr. Aldenburg's testimony?
I watched quite a bit.
You heard him describe the threats he had received?
Yes,
You heard him describe the harassment he had received?
yes,
You heard him describe years of feeling insecure as a result of the army that you sicked on him?
Objection, Judge, move to strike that.
Sustained.
I
mean, he said I never even said his name.
And then-
No, yes.
Disregard that.
So, Mr. Jones, your attorney objected.
Sorry.
No, let me finish. Look at me. I sustained his objection and you answered it anyway. He won and you kept going. So, just, why don't you take a break, drink a little water?
Okay.
Take a breath. And just remember, when Attorney Pattis objects, I think your words were that you would be quiet.
Thank
And
you.
then I'll rule.
You're right.
He won.
I'll slow down.
Okay, how's that, Attorney Pattis?
And then the jury is to formally disregard the comments of counsel.
So ordered.
And after all that, you still chose to put Bill Aldenburg's face up in front of
Objection.
your audience of
Fact
hundreds
not
of
admitted.
millions, correct?
assumes a fact, not an evidence.
Overruled.
No, I did not direct Greg Reese to make this, but I think it's a good report.
Okay, so when you did become aware of it, you didn't take it down, did you?
No, I stand by the report,
Very good.
even though I'm being watched.
Just wait for the next question, sir, please.
So after Bill Oldenburg and after Judge Bellis, who's next, Mr. Jones?
Objection.
Sustained.
I mean, I guess if somebody's on national TV, oh, I'm sorry.
Again, no, Mr. Thomas. Again, you're aware objective, and I sustained it's Q1, and you still answered.
Okay, I'm not hearing him.
Can you be louder? I never thought I would say this, Attorney Pattis.
Yes, Judge, I can be louder. How's that?
A little secret is I have serious hearing damage.
Okay,
And I need to get hearing aids soon, so.
so your client cannot hear, so,
Sorry, seriously, I can't hear you anymore.
So let's pull up just for the witness Exhibit 512.
one more time.
512. Take a look at the screen next to you. That's the landing page for band.video, your video page, right?
Yes.
I'll offer you on.
May I have 1 moment, Judge?
Take your time.
No objection.
All right, that's a full exhibit.
So if anybody goes to your band.video page right now, first thing they can do is buy high quality storable food from you because it's back in stock, yes?
Yes.
Objection to the form, they can do many things first.
Overruled.
And then they can go to your Alex Jones Kangaroo Court Watch channel there, right?
Yes.
Okay. They can go ahead and click on the video that you gave yesterday outside this courthouse while Erica Lafferty was testifying, right?
I don't know that.
That's not you yesterday?
I didn't know that.
Objection, compound video
Overruled.
testifying.
That's you yesterday, right?
Yes.
You gave that press conference, what, about 2 o'clock?
I mean, I don't understand the question.
You don't understand the question?
Yes, I gave a press conference.
Yeah, it was around 2 o'clock, right?
I believe so.
You know who was testifying at that time?
No.
Okay.
I was called here by you at 2, and then you said you didn't need me.
No, you were not, sir. So maybe you want to talk to your lawyer about that.
Objection to the colloquy and move to strike, Judge. I'm not in the case.
All right, so, Mr. Jones, I think you offered testimony, and there was no question pending, so it's best not to do that, okay?
Judge, may we approach briefly sidebar?
I'm
Your Honor,
I'd like to move
ask for
on.
relief from the court based on a problem yesterday.
I'll see you, counsel, in the sidebar.
We were warned about contempt, and he's trying to put me in the case with these snide comments, and I don't think you should tolerate it. Mr. Jones said something that was not true about when he was here. Mr. I cannot do that.
I need to say something to correct it, because what he said was untrue. You need to say something?
No, I want you to admonish counsel. I am not in the case. I'm not going to be put in the case, or I'll get on the
Well,
stand.
let's not put Attorney Pattis in the case, but do you want me to say anything to the jury about the 2 o'clock issue or not?
I'd welcome you to say that what he just said was not accurate.
I don't know.
Because I didn't tell him to be here at 2 o'clock.
Here's the deal. At one point early in the day, he said, I made him available at 2. Early in the day, you alerted me. I don't know when I got to him. I just don't know. I did know that I asked him, Chris, please, before you
What do
start.
you want me to tell the jury, just so that we can move on? 'Cause
Just
this
let's
is
just
so
move on. I just don't want to be. I don't want the sniping directed at me.
Okay.
You can pull that back up. And then down here is Greg Reese. That's your contractor?
Yes.
Okay. So anybody come to this band.video page, they got you up top, the Alex Jones show, they can see anything they want there, right? Of your shows.
Yes.
You got the War Room with Owen Schroyer. He's the guy who comes on after you, right?
Yes.
American Journal, that's the gentleman who comes on before you. Those are your 3 live broadcasts each day, yes?
Yes, Chris.
Okay. You can back out of that.
Mr. Jones, which is why I called you Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
So Attorney Maddie, Attorney Hoax.
Attorney Matty.
You've been telling your audience, Mr. Jones, this week and last, that this is a kangaroo court, that Judge Bellis is a tyrant. It's a part of a plot. Because you don't want your audience to know what's really happening here. Isn't that correct?
No.
Objection, motion eliminating opening a door.
I don't think I'm opening any door with that.
All right, so I think you can answer that question, sir, but just remember the issues that are off limits.
Because your credibility, sir, is the most important thing with your audience, isn't it?
How do I answer a question, Your Honor, that I've been barred from answering under orders of the court?
All right, so the question is, your credibility is the most important thing to you. Is that a question that
It's the
you
most
can?
important thing with your audience.
No,
right?
my most important,
No, okay, no. Your credibility is not your most important thing.
it's crushing
Okay.
the globalist.
Crushing globalists. And you tell your audience that they need to keep letting you crush those globalists for the sake of their own families, right?
Objection, Judge, motion eliminating door opening.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I
I'm
don't think
going
that
to
there's...
excuse the jury at this point for 5 minutes so that we can work out this issue. Okay? So just be patient with us as we've been all along.
Maybe the way should... Oh, sorry. Maybe the way should be excused if we're going to do this.
He's
He's
a
your
party.
client, I think he's
Oh,
got a
that's
right
fine.
to be
That's
here.
fine.
So I'm not sure I understand. Attorney Pettis might be right, and I just may not be getting it. So why don't we explore it a little bit and just.
My objection was.
Well, I want to get the question again in the line of questioning and see what the concern is.
I recall it, Judge, but if you want to hear that.
No.
You know, Attorney Maddie inquired of Mr. Jones whether his credibility was his most important attribute. He said it wasn't. Then Mr. Jones offered crushing the globalist was, which was non-responsive. However, Mr. Maddie adopted the non-responsive answer in his next question and asked about crushing the globalists. Mr. Jones would testify that he believes that this trial was part of a plot to silence him, funded by the names I'm prohibited to utter in the jury's presence, and we've had extended argument about that. So I'm simply alerting the court that, in my view, if we're going to have a consistent law of the case, and Attorney Maddie is going to adopt that comment in his questioning, that's opening a door that I will seek to walk through. And so that the purpose of the objection was to alert the court and counsel of that.
So we don't, Attorney Maddie, we don't want to inject politics into this. So what do you suggest?
Nobody's injecting politics into this. What I'm trying to get at, the question I was just about to ask Mr. Jones, was the fact that he tells his audience that they need him to crush the globalists to support their families. I'm not getting into whatever he's talking about this plot is in this courtroom. What I'm getting into is the general approach he takes, which is to monetize his audience's fears and pain and misery.
You don't get to take half an answer and adopt the one part you like and ignore the part you don't. And I think there's a way to ask that without opening the door.
There's nothing about Mr. Jones's relationship with his audience that has anything to do with who's funding this lawsuit.
Judge, if he's going to question my client's motives for wanting to crush the globalists and suggest it's all about $1, that's putting what he's all about right in the center of this case. And you may recall one of the questions I asked Clint Watts. Do you know whether Mr. Jones, I didn't use this term, gins the anger of the public up, or is he responding to an anger that's already there? Watts didn't know. Mr. Jones, whatever you may think of him and his conduct in Sandy Hook, has beliefs about the globalists. To question those motives about him, I think will entitle me as a matter of right to respond in my rehabilitation of him.
And bring up what topics, though?
Who are these globalists? You were just, you were told that you were publishing 512 and 513 as part of an effort to rile up your audience to make a buck. You've denied that. What are you really doing? Are you trying, who are these globalists? Why do you think this trial is part of an effort to sign, who is the tyrant? Why do you think the judge has behaved tyrannical? Nobody may like the answers he gives in this courtroom, but they're his answers. And if Attorney Madden is going to call his credibility into question on these, I think I have a right to inquire about his beliefs. And I think that the court's been pretty firm with me in the last 3-4 days about where I can and can't go. And the record is clear. I think I've tried to ask questions within the scope of the exhibits the plaintiffs offer, but they always offer something and then say, you can't use it for the purposes of defense. We can only use it as a sword.
So if you're going to ask Mr. Jones about the globalists, Attorney Pattis wants to elicit testimony about who the globalists are, and that apparently would violate.
I don't know if it would violate it. What I just asked Mr. Jones.
I think that I accept Attorney Pattis's representation that it would.
Okay, well,
Am I understanding what you're saying, Attorney Pattis?
Well, I mean, obviously I'd have to get your permission to inquire, but I believe that this is opening the door.
If you accept Attorney Pattis's view here, then pretty much any question I ask Mr. Jones about what he does, Attorney Pattis is going to say it opens the door. So I don't think me asking him whether or not he's making money from saying this opens the door to this, whatever his...
Here's the problem with that. That's not the question you asked, Mr. And the record is quite clear. Mr. Jones was asked the question about whether his credibility was the most important thing. He denied it and then gratuitously offered that crushing the globalist was. Counsel had two options at that point. It could have moved to strike that answer as non-responsive and then gone on to the question that he just asked. You're just here to make a buck. But he didn't. He adopted the answer, opening the door. It's part of a pattern in this case to use the motions in limine here as a sword rather than a shield. And we're entitled to swordsmanship as well, and we will engage it.
Right. So I think that you can inquire about his monetizing his audience and making money, but I think that you have to steer clear of eliciting testimony that opens the door to his testifying as to who the globalists are.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you need a minute?
No, I'm ready.
You all set, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Okay. Doing my mental count to 9. All right, the record will reflect left, the entire panel has returned. Please be seated. We all thank you for your continued patience. Whenever you're ready, Tina.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Jones, since this trial started September 13th, it's day 7. How much money has Free Speech Systems made?
I haven't kept track of it.
You haven't been getting daily text messages with the sales numbers?
No.
Your testimonies in the last week, nobody sent you any text messages or other communications with the daily sales?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Would you mind checking your phone at the break?
Objection,
Don't have my phone with me.
Okay. Well, when you get a chance.
objection,
You normally get.
Just-
Oh,
There's an objection.
that's not discovery.
I couldn't hear.
Objection, that's not proper.
ongoing discovery obligation. Your Honor.
Well, if that is the case, Attorney Titus, I'm sure you'll deal with it at the break. So we can move on.
You normally get daily sales reports, right?
Sometimes I do.
Tim Fruget sent you those?
No.
Tim Fruget sent you those back in 2019 and 2020,
Yes, that's when he was an employee, yes.
right? Now he is an affiliate
Yes.
with you, right? He helps run this website called freeworldoutlet.com,
Yes.
and you have a financial interest in that, don't you?
I think it buys products from us.
Excuse me?
Buys products from us and sells them.
It buys products from you. You make money that way, and then they sell products on that website, right?
Yes.
And that's Tim Fruget, your former business director, right?
Yes.
And you set him up financially to do that, yes?
I don't believe so, no.
You don't recall testifying in your deposition, sir, that you funded Free World Outlet initially to get him off the ground?
Can you refresh me with that testimony?
I'm asking you right now, if you recall that.
I don't remember. Free World Outlet's a very small site. I'm not really paying attention to it.
Okay. And did you tell the corporate rep about that, freeworldoutlet.com?
I don't remember.
Okay. Who was the corporate rep, by the way?
Brittany
Objection, which one? When? Timing.
The one who testified here.
Paz.
And so Tim Fruget, who now helps run freeworldoutlet.com, he used to give you daily sales reports, yes?
Sometimes, yes.
Who does it now?
I've not been getting those reports.
Okay, well, who does it when you do get them?
I can go in and I can pull up the reports myself, but I've not been doing that because we don't.
Mr. Jones, the question I asked you is who's doing it now when you do get them?
Well, I'm not allowed.
Does anybody send you?
Objection, he's
not-
trying to answer, Judge.
I'm not allowed under the judge's order to tell you about what happened to my company.
That's not true, Mr. Jones. What I'm asking you is who sends you daily sales reports?
He's answered, asked and answered several
I
times.
didn't get the answer, so can you say it again, sir? Who would?
Okay, you're telling me to answer the question.
All right, so, well, I'm going to excuse the jury again. You're gonna get your exercise today for those of you who wear Fitbits. So just put your pads down and you'll follow along. I think he's following the rules here. I think he was probably gonna say one of the bankruptcy,
That's just the bankruptcy people are in control of it.
Who sends you the daily sales reports?
Objection, objection, objection.
All right, so,
They've taken it
So,
all.
Objection.
well, that was nice and
I'll
loud.
get there, Judge.
So,
That calls for the identity of a person.
no, so in fairness to Mr. Jones, he could have said whatever the lingo is for a bankruptcy, what were you gonna say?
Yes, until yesterday, the CRO, the bankruptcy's in full control of everything.
All right, so,
And they,
That's not responsive to my question.
Objection.
no,
because I can't say it's,
so the question, no, you did the right thing. You asked who sent him who gets the daily sales reports now, and if the answer was the bankruptcy person, then he knows he's not supposed to say
I
that.
said who sends you daily sales
And
reports.
he says no one does. When he gets them from the bankruptcy people.
I don't think he said no one does.
He
but
said no
That
one
is correct.
3
All right,
times.
so what do you propose to do? Because he's following
Move
the
on.
rules. Okay, well done, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so why don't we get the panel? I think it's a good thing we brought the coffee pot today.
Can the jury be informed that that was an appropriate break because there was some concern about compliance with the court order?
No. Alrighty, welcome back. Take your seats whenever you're comfortable. So I hope you don't think we're, please be seated, I hope you don't think we're being impolite. We have issues to discuss, and it's so much easier to have you all get up and go to your own than us trying to all set up somewhere else. So, just bear with us.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Do you agree with me that your reputation is very important to you?
Objection to the form, Judge.
Overruled.
No, I don't agree.
Do you agree that protecting your identity from lies and falsehoods about you is something that you care about?
I care about freedom.
That was my question. So my question was, do you agree that protecting your identity, your own identity, from people lying about you, spreading falsehoods about you, that's important to you, is it not?
It's a yes or a no or a.
Yes.
I mean, that's just a human thing, isn't it? Nobody wants to be lied about, right?
No.
And particularly about the core things that make them who they are, right?
Yes.
And you have those things in your life. Your family, yes.
Yes.
Your work,
Yes.
your relationships with your loved ones, right?
Yes.
The lessons you learned as a young person about how to be in the world, yes.
Yes.
All of these things that go into who you are as a person, right?
Yes.
And you would never want to be maligned or lied about those things that are core to you, correct?
Yes, but I have been plenty.
You have been, and that's been hurtful, isn't it?
The world isn't an easy place. When people become political figures, they get in their arena.
You know what? I think that was probably what you were just trying to do there, was to suggest.
Objection to
Sustained, and as I told the jury, and I know you're probably sick of hearing it from me, but this case is not about politics, okay? It's a hearing of damages. Why don't we move on?
Were you just trying to suggest that my clients, these families, deserved what they got because they had stepped into the arena? Is that what you were just trying to say?
objection, argumentative.
No.
Overruled.
That's not what you, okay.
But I'm saying when you get,
That's not what you were saying.
but
Just wait for Mr. Jones.
So, what I'm trying to get at though, Mr. Jones, is that these things that are core to who you are, core to anybody, is they're lied about and defamed, even just to a small group of people, that can be very hurtful, can it?
yes.
And although you've been critical of this court and the judicial system, you yourself have sought protection in the courts when people have lied about you, haven't you?
I mean, I have before.
Yeah, and in fact, during this very lawsuit, you yourself have brought a lawsuit against others who you claimed had defamed you, correct?
You talking about the Young Turks?
Yeah. You did that, right?
Yes.
Can we bring up Exhibit 434 for Mr. Jones, please?
Fuller ID,
It's ID, Your Honor.
134.
Motion to eliminate politics.
434.
Motion to eliminate politics.
Why don't I take a look at it first?
Sure.
So, Mr. Jones, just.
Mr. Jones was asked about this in his deposition, Your Honor.
Doesn't matter, Judge.
How many pages is this?
I can tell you. 9 pages, I believe. There's an exhibit on the back that's attached.
The ID in here too?
I can give you my copy, Judge, if you want to
No,
look at
that's,
it.
I don't wanna take your copy, just give me a minute. Oh, Ron. We have to keep Ron on his toes. Thank you. Can I see counsel on the sideboard, please?
He's going to talk about why he sued the Young Turks, and he believes that they're part of another political conspiracy. I mean, the problem with this fellow is everything is part of a conspiracy.
The complaint, which is an admission, is offered to show his knowledge of damages, his understanding of this. The Young Turks are another media organization.
They're a media.
They're a media
Right.
organization. That's it.
They're competing people who he thinks got co-opted as part of a conspiracy against him.
But look, that to me isn't in politics, and beyond that, that's not relevant for the purpose for which
But you
this
don't
is
get,
offered.
my position is, Judge, the plaintiffs don't get to choose the purpose without opening. They can't say, well, we get to hurt, but you can't help your own client. It doesn't work that way. In the same way that many of the exhibits they've offered contain the very figures whose names I'm prohibited from mentioning.
I'm using it, and so.
Well, I don't know
said,
that you're using it. The court needs to rule.
I'd ask you, I think this opens the door to anything beyond the issues that I'm going to ask him.
I'm going to ask him, I'll ask him why he sued the Young Turks, and then they're going to have to live with that answer.
And is it gonna violate my order?
It might.
But you don't know. It might not. I mean, I don't know.
If he
I'm
answers
asking because I don't
truthfully,
even know
if
who
he answers truthfully, he will talk about them being part of having been co-opted by a political opponent. Yes.
Based on what?
It
Hearsay.
doesn't have, it can be, it's his understanding.
I'll just instruct the jury like I bet politics is.
Well, I mean, my contention, judges, they don't, that the plaintiffs do not get to open a door and then say, you can't look inside the room. And so there are ways to do this without opening that door, but if they're gonna open it, we're gonna walk.
How do you do it without opening the door?
You've sued, you know about damage. No, so if the contention is, you've sued, you know how people can sue for defamation. You sued for another group, correct? He acknowledged he did. You were seeking damages, you have money damages for your reputation. Yes. That's because you believe that's an appropriate thing to do. Isn't that right? I think that's what they're trying to get.
There's nothing political
I don't
about that.
always agree with them, but I'm agreeing with them.
Can I order this piece of the record?
Look, I'm going to ask the questions about it, and we can argue about what doors.
Well, no, I'm
It'd be much
objecting.
better if you did it along those lines so it doesn't open the door.
I don't want to talk about politics with this guy at all. I'm not asking
He
about this
doesn't-
lawsuit and his claim that he was previously. Okay, well,
Judge, I think they do so at their peril.
fine.
I'd offer it, Your Honor.
As may the jury be excused, I'd like to make a more complete record based on what
No.
I just heard at sidebar.
So that is on the record, so we have the record and it will be admitted over objection.
So, before we pull it up, let's just give the jury a look back. So you brought this lawsuit against an individual named Brianna Wu, correct?
Yes,
An individual named Andrew Kimmel, yes?
yes,
And a entity called the Young Turks LLC, correct?
yes,
And you brought that lawsuit in September of 2019, correct?
yes,
Okay. So about a year and a half after this lawsuit had been filed.
yes.
And do you know who Brianna Wu is?
It was people online, so-called journalists, saying,
I just asked you about Brianna Wu, so I want to ask
I don't remember who she is now.
Okay, you don't remember who she is, thank you. Do you remember who Andrew Kimmel is?
Not really.
Okay. But you sued them.
I mean, yes,
Okay. And the Young Turks LLC, am I correct that that's a media organization?
yes,
Okay. And you brought this lawsuit because you claimed that these people had spread a lie about you, right?
Objection, motion eliminated.
I-
I'm gonna allow it.
I brought the lawsuit to get him to retract it and stop saying it.
But what you wanted
It wasn't money.
Well, we'll get into that. But what you wanted was you sued them because you believed they had spread a lie about you, correct?
Yes, it was directly connected to this case.
Correct. So let's get into that. So what happened was, back in 2019, you were required to produce some documents to the plaintiffs in this case, correct?
And I did.
Okay. And among the documents that you gave to your lawyers and that your lawyers produced to us were some emails, correct?
Yes, I
And
think 207,000.
so, sir, really? You just have to answer my
Right,
question,
so-
yes or no? All right.
Objection to the
So,
comments.
excuse me, so if anyone, either of you need any help with any witness not answering the questions that you're asked, ask me to do it, that's my job, I like to do my job, I'm not bad at my job. I know you know what I'm gonna say, Mr. Jones, go over here.
Just yes or no?
Yeah, or I don't.
Okay.
Okay, just answer, sir.
And,
No,
oh, I'm sorry.
stop speaking.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Mr. Jones, just look at me. Just yes, no, I will tell. Thank you.
Your lawyers, you gave your lawyers some emails to send to us and they sent them, right?
Yes,
And attached to some of those emails were images of child pornography, correct?
yes,
And the FBI was alerted about this, right?
yes,
And the FBI concluded that while those emails were in your organization's possession, they had been sent to your organization from outside, correct?
yes,
And that there wasn't any evidence that you or anybody in your organization had opened them, correct?
yes,
In other words, that although they had been sent to us, that had been done inadvertently, correct?
yes,
And when you were advised of this, you were upset, yes?
yes,
And so you went on the air, correct?
yes,
And you blamed my office for having planted it, correct?
no,
Mr. Jones, do you want to see the video, sir?
go ahead and roll it.
Would you like me to?
I mean, if you want to.
You offered $1 million to have my head on a pike.
No, objection, that mischaracterizes it. This, may we approach?
I don't think we need to. That's
Yeah, I do.
So, come on.
He didn't. I was
Yes.
sitting right there.
Yeah.
He was never charged
The
with a
judge has
crime.
seen the video.
You've seen the video, and he said he talked about his suspicions about Mr. Manny, but he never said. He said he'd offer $1 million for the person who did it. He had suspicions about him. To suggest as an officer of the court, otherwise, excuse me, to suggest otherwise as an officer of the court, I'm asking for a curative instruction and admonishment of counsel.
Watch the video.
I was sitting there. I don't
Can
need
you
to.
ask, so I'm not gonna give a curative instruction, I'm not gonna admonish. Can you ask me to put my,
Well, he hasn't answered it.
Right, so
So you can
well,
say
it's
no, I
objected
guess.
to, so can you ask it in a different way?
Or he can say no if he wants, and I can impeach him.
Can you ask it in a different way
I
then?
don't want to ask it in a different way.
So then I'll sustain the objection and then you
Thank
can
you.
try to ask it. And Attorney, we're due for a break anytime between now and the next 10 minutes. I'm gonna leave it up to
Great.
you as to when
Yep.
is a good point.
Thank you, yep. So, Mr. Jones, when you found out about this, you went on your show, right?
Yes,
And you held my picture up to your audience, yes?
you have to refresh my memory.
Oh, Mr. Jones, you know you did that, don't you?
Objection.
Overruled.
You know you did that.
No, I believe you conflated your picture being on the pile of stuff, me saying it was a reward to find out who did it. So how is it a reward if we don't?
So, Mr. Jones, the question was, you held my picture up, and I'm not sure I got your answer. Was it yes, no, or I don't know?
Or I don't recall.
I don't recall.
exactly what I said.
I don't recall.
Do you recall pounding on my picture? Do you recall
I
that?
pound on my desk all the time. It was a pile of papers. I remember that.
Okay, all right. And the reason I'm doing this is because when you went on the air and did all that, people found out that there was this issue about your company having sent child pornography to my office, correct? That's how people found out about it.
Well, you're not going to be clear that someone sent it to me.
No. I think we've established that.
No, but you're getting it set up for clips, though. I know what you're doing.
Mr. Jones, really, I think it's established, and nobody contests that you had nothing to do with that child pornography. Okay, let's make that clear.
Yeah, you guys found it
Correct. We found it because it was sent to us, right?
because it was hidden, embedded, and then you guys found it. Really good job.
So, Mr. Jones.
I know I'm not supposed to start.
No, no commentary. Answer the question that's asked.
Yes, ma'am.
But when you went on the air, that's how it became public that there was this whole issue that child pornography had been sent from your company to my law office, correct?
Objection, Judge, that calls for speculation that, well, maybe
Overruled.
one avenue.
I don't remember.
All right. But in any event, once it became public, you claimed that Brianna Wu and Andrew Kimmel and the Young Turks had lied about you having sent it, correct?
They said more than that, if I remember.
Right. And you alleged that in your complaint, right?
Yes.
And that was deeply harmful to you, that they had lied about the fact that you had sent child pornography, right?
People still say it all the time, everywhere.
It's a terrible thing to be accused of, correct?
Yeah, but they quit saying it, so I dropped the suit.
And they were spreading to all over the internet this lie about you, that you had sent child pornography, correct?
Purposefully, yeah, that was the issue.
And that's why you brought this lawsuit, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, this would be a fine time for a break.
All right, so we will take our morning recess now, 15 minutes. I know you're probably saying to yourself, why do we need another recess? We just got up and down, but our staff has been here, and we've been working the whole entire time, and so I'm required to give them a break. So you'll continue to obey the rules of juror conduct. We're on 15 minutes, puts us at what time? I turned my Apple Watch off so much that I can't even find the clock. 12, let's say 12:10, okay? So we'll take a recess.